If you find yourself constantly saying, "It's not my fault," congratulations, you've trapped yourself in the one mindset that guarantees you'll never succeed. And psychology research proves it. Look around and you'll see them everywhere. People whose lives aren't working, and every single time it's someone else's fault. The economy, their boss, their parents, their ex, the system, society, bad luck. And here's the brutal psychological truth that nobody wants to hear. As long as you're blaming external factors for your problems, you're guaranteeing those problems will never get solved. Recent research from Stanford published in 2025 found that people with what psychologists call a victim mentality experience significantly higher rates of depression, anxiety, chronic stress, and here's the kicker, dramatically lower income levels throughout their lifetime. This isn't about judging people who've experienced real trauma or real victimization. This is about the psychological pattern where blame becomes identity, where powerlessness becomes comfortable, where complaining replaces action. Welcome to Prime Theory. I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. I'm here to tell you what you need to understand. Today we're breaking down the psychology of victim mentality, why it's so seductive, why it's destroying your life, and most importantly, how to escape it starting right now. This one might hurt, but sometimes the truth does. Let's get into it. So, what exactly is victim mentality? Psychologists define it as having an external locus of control, which basically means you believe that your life is controlled by forces outside yourself, rather than your own choices and actions. And research shows this is one of the most damaging psychological patterns a person can develop. People with external locus of control consistently underperform people with internal locus of control across every metric: career success, relationship quality, physical health, financial stability, everything. Why? Because if you believe you're powerless, you stop trying to change things. Think about it logically. If your problems are caused by your boss, the government, your childhood, or society, what can you possibly do about it? Nothing. You're stuck. And that belief in helplessness becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Here's how it shows up in real life. Someone's overweight. Victim mentality says, "I have slow metabolism. It's genetic. Diets don't work for me." Someone's broke. Victim mentality says, "The system is rigged. Rich people have all the advantages. There's no opportunity for people like me." Someone's in a bad relationship. Victim mentality says, "All men are trash," or "All women are crazy. I just have bad luck with partners." Notice the pattern. Every single explanation removes your power to change the situation. And that's actually the psychological payoff of victim mentality. It protects your ego from responsibility. If nothing's your fault, you never have to face the uncomfortable truth that maybe some of your choices created your current reality. Psychologist Julian Rotter, who developed locus of control theory in the 1950s, found that people with external locus consistently underestimate their ability to influence outcomes, even when shown direct evidence that their actions matter. The mindset is so powerful, it literally blinds you to your own agency. Here's the uncomfortable question. If victim mentality is so destructive, why do so many people adopt it? Because there are real psychological rewards that keep you trapped. First reward, ego protection. When you blame external factors, you never have to confront your own failures, weaknesses, or bad decisions. Your self-image stays intact because, hey, it's not your fault. Psychotherapist Merle Yost calls this victim identity disorder, and notes that our society has become so focused on who's the biggest victim that the role actually provides social status in certain circles. Second reward, attention and sympathy. People with victim mentality often get what psychologists call secondary gains. When you're the victim, people feel sorry for you. They give you attention. They make accommodations for you. Research on learned helplessness shows that if these sympathy responses are consistent enough, victim behavior gets reinforced just like any addiction. Third reward, avoidance of responsibility and discomfort. If your problems aren't your fault, you don't have to do the hard work of solving them. You can stay in your comfort zone complaining instead of growing. Psychologist Carol Dweck's research on fixed versus growth mindsets shows that people with victim mentality almost always have fixed mindsets. They believe their circumstances are permanent and unchangeable, which means they never develop resilience or problem-solving skills. And here's the really insidious part. Victim mentality spreads socially. Studies show that if you spend time around people who constantly blame external factors, you start adopting the same patterns. It's like a mental virus that jumps from person to person, and entire social groups can get trapped in collective victimhood, where everyone reinforces everyone else's powerlessness. This is why you see families where everyone's broke and blaming the system, or friend groups where everyone's single and blaming the opposite sex. The shared victim narrative becomes the group's identity. Let's talk about what victim mentality actually costs you, because the price is higher than most people realize. First cost, you never solve your actual problems. If you're blaming your boss for your career stagnation, you're not developing the skills or taking the actions that would actually advance your career. If you're blaming genetics for your health problems, you're not making the lifestyle changes that would improve your health. Victim mentality guarantees your problems persist because you're focused on blame instead of solutions. Research from Stanford shows that people with victim mentality make less money over their lifetime, not because of discrimination or lack of opportunity, but because they don't take initiative, don't negotiate, don't take risks, don't accept feedback. They're waiting for the world to fix their problems instead of fixing them themselves. Second cost, you destroy your relationships. Nobody wants to be around someone who constantly complains, never takes responsibility, and always plays the victim. Even people who initially sympathize eventually get exhausted and distance themselves. Clinical psychologist Vicky Botnick notes that victim mentality is one of the fastest ways to kill romantic relationships, friendships, and professional relationships because it makes genuine connection impossible. You can't have intimacy with someone who refuses accountability. You can't collaborate with someone who blames everything on others. You can't trust someone who never admits mistakes. So people with chronic victim mentality end up isolated, which then becomes more evidence that the world is against them, creating another vicious cycle. Third cost, you destroy your own self-worth. Ironically, the mindset that's supposed to protect your ego actually demolishes it over time. When you constantly tell yourself you're powerless, you're helpless, you're at the mercy of forces you can't control, you train your brain to believe that. Studies on learned helplessness show that repeated experiences of perceived powerlessness literally rewire your brain to expect failure and give up faster. You become the helpless victim you've been claiming to be, and the psychological toll is massive. People with victim mentality have significantly higher rates of depression, anxiety disorders, and what psychologists call negative affectivity, a chronic state of emotional distress and dissatisfaction. You're not protecting yourself, you're poisoning yourself. Alright, enough diagnosis. Let's talk about the cure, because you absolutely can escape victim mentality, but it requires what I call the accountability shift. This is where you fundamentally change your relationship with responsibility. Step 1, radical honesty about your role. This is the hardest step because it requires you to look at your life and ask, what part of this did I create? Not what percentage is your fault versus others, but simply what specific actions or inactions on your part contributed to where you are now. Psychologists call this developing an internal locus of control, but really it's about admitting that you have more power than you've been acknowledging. Research shows that even people in genuinely difficult circumstances, poverty, discrimination, trauma, the ones who succeed are the ones who focus on what they can control rather than what they can't. Here's the psychological reframe that changes everything. Stop asking, whose fault is this? And start asking, what can I do about this? These are completely different questions that lead to completely different outcomes. The first question keeps you stuck in the past, assigning blame. The second question moves you into the future, creating solutions. For example, maybe you really did have a terrible childhood. That's not your fault. But is it still affecting your relationships today? That's your responsibility to address. Maybe the economy really is difficult. You didn't create that. But are you developing skills that are valuable regardless of economic conditions? That's your responsibility. Accountability isn't about blame, it's about power. When you take responsibility, you reclaim your power to change things. Step 2, change your language immediately. Psychologists have proven that the words you use actually shape your brain's perception of reality. So, stop using victim language and start using accountability language. Instead of, I can't because of X, say, I haven't yet because I chose to prioritize Y. Instead of, they make me so angry, say, I feel angry when that happens, and I'm choosing how to respond. Instead of, nothing ever works out for me, say, I've had setbacks, what can I learn from them? These aren't just semantic differences, they're neurological reframes that gradually reprogram your brain to see yourself as empowered rather than powerless. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that people who consistently used accountability-focused language showed measurable increases in problem-solving ability and persistence within just 30 days. Step 3. Implement a daily accountability practice. Here's something practical you can start today. Every evening, spend 5 minutes answering 3 questions in a journal. Question 1. What problem did I blame on someone or something else today? Question 2. What part of that situation was actually within my control? Question 3. What action can I take tomorrow to influence that situation? This simple practice trains your brain to spot victim thinking in real time and redirect it toward empowered action. Research on self-monitoring shows that people who track their victim thoughts and challenge them consistently develop internal locus of control within 60 to 90 days. You're literally rewiring decades of conditioning, but it's possible if you're consistent. Step 4. Surround yourself with accountable people. This is critical because victim mentality is socially contagious, but so is accountability. Find people who take responsibility for their lives, who solve problems instead of complaining about them, who push you to grow instead of enabling your excuses. A Stanford study on peer influence found that your likelihood of developing internal locus of control increases by 40% when your closest friends demonstrate accountability. Cut out the chronic complainers, the blamers, the people who reinforce your victim stories. I know that sounds harsh, but your environment either supports your growth or sabotages it. There's no neutral, and if your current relationships are built on shared victimhood, they'll actively resist your transformation because your growth threatens their victim identity. Step 5. Abro destructor quai. Prove to yourself that you have power through small wins. The fastest way to dismantle victim mentality is to accumulate evidence that contradicts it. Pick one area where you've been blaming external factors and commit to changing it through your own actions, regardless of circumstances. If you've been blaming your income on the economy, start a side hustle and prove you can create money independently. If you've been blaming your fitness on genetics, work out consistently for 90 days and watch your body change. These small victories train your brain that you're not powerless, you just haven't been using your power. Psychologist Albert Bandura's research on self-efficacy shows that successful experiences, even small ones, are the most powerful source of confidence and motivation. Each time you solve a problem you previously blamed on others, you strengthen the neural pathways of empowerment. Look, here's the bottom line. Victim mentality feels safe in the short term, but it guarantees you'll stay stuck forever. It protects your ego today while destroying your future. And the hardest part is admitting that if you're not where you want to be, if your life isn't working, you've played a role in that. Not everything is your fault, but everything is your responsibility to address. That's not a punishment, it's liberation. Because if your problems are someone else's fault, you're helpless. But if your problems are at least partially created by your choices, that means you can uncreate them through different choices. You have power. The question is whether you're brave enough to accept that power and all the responsibility that comes with it. Some people will watch this video and get defensive. They'll say, I don't understand their situation, that their circumstances really are different, that they really are powerless. And you know what? They're proving the point. Victim mentality can't survive accountability, so it fights back with excuses and justifications, and more blame. But if even one person watching this recognizes themselves and decides to make the shift, to stop blaming and start building, that's a life changed. Research proves that people who develop internal locus of control before age 30 earn significantly more, have better relationships, experience better health, and report higher life satisfaction across the board. The patterns you build now determine your entire trajectory. So, choose. Victim or victor. Blame or power. Excuses or results. This is Prime Theory. We don't tell you what you want to hear, we tell you what you need to understand. Subscribe if you're ready for psychology that challenges you instead of coddling you. Accountability isn't easy, but it's the only path to freedom. Your life, your choice, your responsibility. Now go prove to yourself what you're capable of when you stop making excuses and start taking action. I'll see you in the next one.